Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at the 1 to 2 player game Dungeon Heroes, published by Gameland Games and designed by Michael Goes. This game is not designed by Scott Alms. Not that this is a bad thing. I love all the tiny epic games. So I was interested in see what a game published by Gameland Games, not designed by Scott Alms, might look like. This game here is going to be a unique 1 to 2 player game. Now I would say it's probably always want to play 2 player game where you have heroes and a dungeon master. In a normal system, it would be multiple players playing the heroes and 1 player playing the dungeon master, so it would be many versus 1. In this, 1 player plays the dungeon master, the other player plays all the heroes. So let's go ahead down to the table here, take a look at this game, and I'll show you how it plays, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is what a setup of Dungeon Heroes might look like. Dungeon Heroes is going to be a 2-player game where 1 player plays the Dungeon Master and the other player plays the heroes. To start out the game, you're going to go ahead and place all of the monster tiles or monster tokens over here. You're going to put all your tiles in the bag. It's really cool bag right here. Then each hero is going to get their little board here, and you're going to get a die for each that matches the color on here, and it says max 4 health, so you put it on 4 health. Now, the goal of the game for the heroes is to get 3 of the 4 treasures. The goal of the Dungeon Master is just to wipe out the heroes. The game will end when either of those goals are met. Now, on the side of the board, it's going to tell you all the different tiles that could be in there for the hero player to know, and also for the Dungeon Master to know if they don't remember. On the hero player's turn, well, actually, we'll start with the Dungeon Master. The Dungeon Master starts the game first. They're going to draw 4 tiles from this bag. And then, I got 3 traps and a poison portal. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to put these face down where you think they're going to be. Now, there's good tiles and there's bad tiles. You're trying to do a little bit of a mind game with the opponent and have them guess what you're trying to do. But these traps here, so if an opponent lands on a trap like this pit of doom, pit trap here, they're going to lose the health points equal to right here. So this is 10 health points, which will kill anybody. This one here is 4 points, which is enough to kill the wizard, so you better watch out. And this poison portal will send them back to the start, and they'll lose 1 health. There's a couple other, let's show you a couple other tiles here. Let's see, that's not a trap. This one here, if this is flipped, the opponent has to, or the heroes have to pick either the left or the right and immediately move to that room. Here's a treasure. If they get the treasure, they get 1 step closer to winning the game. This is the normal portal that sends them back to the beginning. No points lost at there. And this here is, one of the items. So there's multiple different items you can get throughout the game. This one here is just a trap kit. This one here will actually let them disarm a trap. Now, you'll place your stuff out however you want it to be tricksy, or however you want to do it for trying to make the opponent seem like there's something else. The other thing I wanted to mention here is there's also goblins and other monsters. These monsters, if a person lands on it, they will get the damage shown. Oops, get this focus right here. So this will be 3 damage, and it'll stay on the board. They can move away from the monster and it won't hurt them at all, just a one-time hit until later on, which I'll explain. So each of the heroes have a different ability. The wizard will, and you get up to 4 actions on a turn for the hero's turn. So movement is 1 action, and using the ability is another action. You can't use more than 2 actions on any hero until you're down to 1 hero, and then you get 3 actions for that hero. You have to take 4 actions. Each of the heroes work a different way. The wizard here will let him move any direction. So you can move this way, this way, this way. Wizard, sorry. You can move this way, this way, this way. Anything here, 1 space. You can also, for an action, peek at any of these tiles. Oh, that's a trap. I don't want to go there. That's what the wizard does. The barbarian can only go horizontally or vertically. So the barbarian here can only, if it was here, could only go here, 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 or here. And when a barbarian lands on a space and flips the tile over, or lands on a space with a monster, the barbarian will automatically defeat that monster. And it'll be removed from the game. So that's how those monster tiles can get removed from the game. Now, the rogue can move any direction, but when the rogue lands on a trap, so let's say the rogue moves onto this trap, the rogue will disarm the trap automatically and remove it from the game. So that's how that rogue works. Finally, the cleric. The cleric has a cool ability where the cleric can heal itself or an adjacent hero to health, which you lose health through the game. There is going to be very you're going to really want to use this guy a lot in the game. So another thing that I didn't mention is part of the items. There's things that gain health, but one really important item that is in this game is going to be the Holy Grail. If you get the Holy Grail, you can actually revive one of your dead heroes. Otherwise, when a hero dies, you're going to take the figure, remove it, and flip this to the inactive side, and then put those two on top. It can become active with the Holy Grail throughout the game, but once all four of those are dead, the dungeon master player wins. When the dungeon master runs out of tiles in the bag, then the aggressive phase starts. Any of the monsters that are face up here on the board, meaning someone ran into them but it wasn't the barbarian and they weren't taken care of, you will replace that tile with one of these little figures here. And on the dungeon master's turn, for a point, which the dungeon master still has 4 points worth of stuff they can do, they can move one of these monsters. They can't move a monster up to more than twice, but they can use these monsters to attack the opponent, the heroes, and they'll do damage equal to what it says on the little token here. So that sort of speeds up the game because you've got these monsters running around on the board. The game will continue until someone has been victorious, either the hero is getting their third treasure out of 4, or the dungeon master defeats all the heroes. What's really cool, which I'm not going to really go over, is with the newer box set right here, you're going to get 2 expansions for it. You're going to get the dragon and the dryad, and the lords of the undead. They changed the win conditions for the game. The dragon and dryad, the dragon's super dangerous. It actually will breathe fire every space around it, which is a ton of spaces. And the dryad is an extra, if you find the dryad, it's an extra hero you get to play with during the game. You get a little pink die to mark the health, and you get this really cool little dryad token. And the Lord of the Undead is really bad because you can play, is really good, but you get the Necromancer and the lady, which also can possess one of the players. So the Necromancer is bad because it gets to resurrect killed monsters, which is really cool for the Dungeon Master. Sad times for the heroes. This gray lady will be able to take control of one of the heroes until they get damaged, which really can slow down the heroes depending on what you do. And that's it. So let's go ahead back up to the table here, and I'll give you my final thoughts on Dungeon Heroes. So I didn't know what to think when I first took a look at Dungeon Heroes. One is, I love the Scott Alms games. I love all the Tiny Epic games. Land Heresy is awesome. So I love the games he makes, and so I love him as a designer. And I really don't think that I have heard of Michael Coase, nor have I looked it up necessarily, but so I didn't know what to think of the game, especially from reading the rules, because it seemed pretty much like the idea of Minesweeper. However, playing it is a lot of fun. you have a lot of things you have to think about, whether you're the hero or actually the dungeon master. It may seem simple that you're just pulling 4 tiles and placing them on the board as the dungeon master, or I guess it would be the dungeon master as the bad guy. But you have to employ a lot of strategy with that, because you're not only putting down bad things, but you're also putting down good things. So what type of mind game do you want to be playing with a hero to try to have them not actually think that tile that you put right in front of them, because you want to make them think it's a trap, is actually the treasure chest that they're looking for, because they need to get 3 treasure chests to win. On the hero side, you have to take your time and utilize your different heroes, because you only have a limited amount of health. And some of those traps will kill any hero except for the rogue, because it disarms them. And some of the monsters will kill any hero except for the barbarian, because the barbarian automatically kills the monster. One note is, when the monsters are wandering around, the barbarian doesn't automatically kill a monster unless it goes to the monster. So if the monster comes to him and does damage, that monster sticks around and it still has to kill it like normal on its turn. But there's a lot of thinky strategy on both sides. It's more abstractish than you would think for like a dungeon delving game, but it's abstract in a good way. So you still feel like you're doing the theme, but it still feels like a puzzle. Like the heroes are trying to figure out the puzzle of that the dungeon master is set up on the board to defeat the heroes. And the dungeon master is trying to think of what the heroes think is happening. So if the dungeon master can trick the heroes or get them into a sense of having to hurry along, then they can take out the heroes. Because like when you have your second phase in there and those monsters start popping up on the board and they can move around, that's much more dangerous for the heroes. So the heroes have a time sort of limit going through before they're going to get really hurt in that second round or second phase. One thing to note though is any of the flipped monsters are going to automatically turn into monsters in that second phase. Some of the monsters that got removed from the board won't. The expansions on it, I think, actually they come with this game, actually make the dungeon master much more of a foe in the game. Not that the first one isn't, but once you figure out, once you have someone that's really, really good with the heroes, the dungeon masters potentially has to really work for it to win. But with those expansions, it sort of evens it out a little bit, makes some scary stuff for the heroes that show up and happen. So either way, really, really like the game. Really like the replayability of the game. Once you play the game enough, you can go into those expansions and keep on playing. So highly recommend checking out Dungeon Heroes. If anything that I just went over sounded good to you, I think it's a great game. Thank you for watching.